back to another episode of Who Woke the Savage. I'm your girl, Miss Well and Woke, aka Day from Around the Way.
And I'm your girl, Lady A Savage.
What's up? What's up? What's up? So, friend,
Yes, ma'am.
as always, part 152,000, quadruple million of life be lifing around these parts.
Look here. I'm just like, did God put us all on the strongest warrior list this year? I've talked to so many people, and it seems like everybody is having a hard time right now. Like, we all are going through a spiritual warfare. I don't know what's going on, but something is going on because everybody's under attack. Life
Let me
is
tell you,
life.
this goes out to all my people around the world, around the country. There's so much turmoil that's happening outside right now. And I think it got everybody kind of spinning out of control. But stay positive and stay encouraged. That's all I can say for the good folks out there.
Mm.
But little sidebar, right? So
Okay.
I don't know if you've seen this in the media recently, right? So Brandy, y'all know like famous Brandy, Brandy Norwood, Brandy and
Okay.
Monica, however y'all want to get down.
Brandy
Brandy
and
is
Ray J.
releasing a
Okay.
memoir. Yeah, Brandy and Ray J, however y'all associate her. But Brandy, she's releasing a memoir. And inside of her memoir, she speaks about having a relationship at 16 years old with a 23-year-old from Boys to Men. Y'all know Wanye. I love Wanye and them kids, but it got a little sketchy because she's basically talking to people about how she felt like her relationship with an older man at a time of her life where she was blossoming in her career and really starting to learn herself. She felt
Mm-hmm.
like there was some grooming that took place. And for those of y'all who don't know what grooming is, it means that there's some type of authority figure who is using emotional manipulation to kind of control the dynamic, and they really do have the power in source of the relationship. And that's what she felt like there was an improper balance because of their age, and that
Mm-hmm.
it's never okay. And I'm gonna say this is my personal beliefs. It's never okay for a grown man to have interaction with a young girl. It's never okay for a grown woman to have interaction with a young man before the legal consenting age, and even sometimes add +5, give them a chance for their brain to develop and mature.
And you're supposed to say that because that is the right thing to say.
I think that's the right attitude for everybody to have on and off the camera. I feel like everybody
No,
should
it
feel
is.
that way in a
But my
sense.
thing, my thing is this. Okay, yes, you are right. A grown man or a grown woman should not be talking to, a younger individual. But at some point too, I feel like this is where personal accountability comes into play. And I get it. People love to say like, "Oh, well, they're the child in the aspect or whatever." But let's be real. If you're 16 or 17, you definitely, especially as women, we definitely have a brain. At what point are we taught or whatever that we shouldn't be wanting these older men? Some of us are going out here trolling too,
I
trolling and
think so too.
strolling.
I think that there's a lot of young people that lie about their age to finesse in those situations. And there's a lot of times where, as a young woman, I could always say this: you didn't have to lie about your age. You still had older men out there in the world who were
That's still
trying
what
to
talk to you.
finesse and still try to get to talk to you and everything. And so, can you be an intelligent young woman at 16 and 17 years old? Yes. I think that we were very mature, independent, strong minded young girls growing up in the world. At the same time, your emotional maturity isn't there. There's still
Yes.
something lacking. So, what she was saying in her memoir is that this is the person that she lost her virginity to. And like
Mm-hmm.
at 16, everybody knows that the person that you first interact with, there's a lot of emotional ties that come from it. There's a lot of confusion that can come from it. And the man
Mm-hmm.
who's 23, he out here, he may be ripping, rolling, riding, and playing in these streets. And that's not going to settle the same way for a young girl who's basing that 16-year-old interaction, looking for love, the pursuit of happiness, and possibly marriage out of that first time encounter. So I think that like it just opens up a floodgates around, we talk about having a soft life. And I think soft life coming with those hard lessons is when you're a young woman, there's a personal accountability, but I do feel like the adult is always the most accountable person because you are an adult. You're grown.
You are. But it's so many people that I feel like need to take accountability too. I feel like sometimes in those situations we like to just put it on the person, like the older person, right? We don't like to put it on the personal person or the parents or different things that have happened. It's kind of like how we talk about like the R. Kelly situation, right? Yes.
Hmm.
This is a grown man who was doing stuff he had no business doing, right? But we watched, I don't know about you, but I know me, I watched a documentary. And it's
I
certain
see.
things that happen with, like, as parents, where does the accountability come in, that your child should not have been at the R. Kelly video skipping school. That your
And you
child that your child should not have, you should not have put your child on the road with somebody who told you that I'm not allowing a parent to come with her.
let me say, this is where I feel like the manipulation kicks in, right? So I do believe that there's a personal accountability to be charged to the parents because a lot of people were saying that. They were like, where was her mama? Where are all these
They
people?
were
Where
right
was
there though.
Ali and them people? Where was Ali and them people? Brandy and them people? Beyonce and them mom? Where everybody mama at this time? And I understand that when you have a successful, independent child, right? They are in
Hmm.
worlds and spaces that they have a lot more access than maybe the everyday person. But I even take it from like back when we were in high school or middle school, whatever have you, there was always grown men hanging out with the fly whips or different things, and they were pursuing young girls. And there's a part of being a young woman that you are flattered by a certain level of attention. And I
Right.
think that's grown women to young women. People are flattered by a certain level of attention. But then there's a trust
But
that's
it's
fostered
also,
when somebody is grooming you. Somebody is trying to build your trust and make you feel like whatever interaction you're having with them is a safe and secure one, and
mm,
that one that's also kept a secret between you and that person. Anything that's supposed to be healthy and normal and natural in terms of a relationship should never be a secret, should never be something that we got to do in privacy. Because if it's something that's supposed to go down, we shouldn't have to go through all of that. And that's the issue that I have with the dynamic.
yeah, but like I said, like you said, it's also, it's the want that's out there too. Because sometimes, like you said, you in the fly whip, you in this, and that's why I said the personal accountability come into play. Because it's kind of like, hey, like, oh, he got a car, he got this, he got that. I don't want to be on the bus. I don't want to be getting on the bus. I want to be in the car with you, knowing that you shouldn't be in the car, knowing that it's a, because like you said, as women, as being mature, like you said, emotionally we might not be mature, but mentally we are. You knew that this is a grown man that you probably should not talk to. You knew that you had to hide that you was talking to a grown man too. And like you just said, if you have to hide it, if you have to lie about it, then you shouldn't do it. So at both parts, I feel like it's so many people that need to take blame and ownership too.
I think I'm doing a great job at this point in my life and in career where I'm talking to a lot of young women and doing some form of mentoring and
Mm-hmm.
counseling to these young girls. And I've had so many conversations with them where they're like impressed by what the men have to offer. And let's all keep it real. Life is not easy out here. And sometimes when
Mm-hmm.
somebody's packaging you with the gifts and the promise of a better future and your current situation isn't quite what you feel like it needs to be, or they can get you access to things, everything looks good when it's being promised that way, right? When I talk to some of these young women, they're like, well, my mama don't have all of these resources, but this man that I'm talking to, he could get my hair done, my nails done. He could put a little bag of groceries in the house when I need
Mm-hmm.
it. He could give me a little spending money. Like where mama can't afford a slice of pizza, this man is saying he could buy me McDonald's every day. And I have to talk to them about what that really looks like, right? I said the reason why that grown man in comparison to maybe a boy your age cannot do the same thing is for that very reason, because of age. That adult has resources and access that they've been able to accumulate due to age
So
and time.
let me ask you this. What do you feel like is the difference between a soft life and a sponsorship then? Because that's a
So
sponsorship, low key.
that's that's what I think, because but you gotta, I think the difference is in the rhetoric and the culture, right? So you
Mm-hmm.
have a lot of women, if you grow up and you're a young girl right now and you've been listening anywhere from Little Kim to Lotto or to Nicki Minaj, right? The whole concept hasn't really just been about like female empowerment, it's been about securing the bag. And when
Okay.
you're young, how are you securing the bag if you don't have all of the resources to get a job or maintain a
Mm-hmm.
certain type of job and hold on to that income? So that becomes whoever you get down with, hang out with, or lay down with should be able to do something for you. And I think that's a philosophy that's trapping some of our young girls. Like
Oh,
nobody does anything for free, right? So that's
okay.
the other part of the message that's not coming out there. I don't hear a lot of these like females in the industry saying, when you choose to put yourself around certain people who are doing for you, nothing comes for free. They start to set expectations, whether right or wrong. People come with something else to them. And I remember like really just being young, and my mother was always adamant about this. If she saw me walk in the house with something that her nor my father purchased, it was
Who
like,
got
give
you
it
that?
back. Who got you that, right? And I think that so many parents now taking this like warm, soft approach to parenting, they not getting in their kids' ass, asking them where them new J's come from. I ain't see what
Mhm.
those new balances. Like, who bought those earrings? How you got your nails done? Because I don't remember sending you out of the house for more than the 20. So it's
So
like
what's the
when those
what's
things
the
start happening.
what's the soft life aspect then? So like I said, what's the
I think because I think the soft life aspect comes in where girls are now saying, like, I just want my life to be easier. And from
okay?
seeing my maybe mama, grandmother, auntie, or other family members, even for the young man out in the world, there's a lot of young men that's like, damn, I feel like all my life I had to fight too. So if I see this older woman who has herself established, or this older man
Mhm.
who has themselves established, I feel like life can be made easier for me. Life can
So
be
here,
softer for me. I don't have to go through the same young minded
got you.
stuff I would have to go to dealing with somebody my age.
I will say this though. What I do not like sometimes is, especially coming from somebody, and like I'm not no young chick. You know what I'm saying? What I don't like sometimes, depending on the age that you are, because you have people that's 30 dealing with 50-year-olds, 40 dealing with 60-year-olds, XYZ, different age
Facts.
range. What I don't like is because you see me with an older person, you assume I'm on a sponsorship either.
Well, that's
Not
a fact.
every not every person that is sitting up here dealing with an older person is on a sponsorship.
Well,
Because
I
you
had me
have
and you go
because
back and forth with this.
we could. Because I'm gonna tell you now, you do have some, and I'm gonna tell you right now, you have some older people that are dealing with females that are younger that need their help. And I'm not saying in the sense of financial, but like mentally, guidance, everything else. They ain't where they need to be either. So at that
Yeah,
point,
that's
I can't
true.
be on a sponsorship because I'm trying to help
But
you.
let me say this too. I think that any age you could be subjected to grooming, no matter how intelligent, no matter how like strong will you are. So I think it depends on the person that you find and the type of partnership that you're creating, right? Because now if I
Mhm.
get with this 60 something year old man, right, I'm on my Anna Nicole BS, right?
Okay.
And this man, he presents himself well. This is loving and caring and genuine, and we both have a mutuality of respect for one another. Cool. You like it? I love it. But if in this dynamic, this person is holding all of the power cards where they're telling me how to dress, what to eat, where to go, and
Mhm.
how to maneuver, and there's a level of like financial abuse that may exist or some type of
Mhm.
emotional abuse that exists, that's when I feel like there's a manipulation because there's a lot of us who would love things to be soft. And like I
Yeah.
said, not just because we're making the money to entitle ourselves to softness, but we just want things to be easier and to feel safer. Part of how we view men is about being providers and protectors, right? And that's what we
True.
learn. So sometimes people naturally equate that with that being an older man because that's what
Mhm.
people look at. They look at like an older man can be a more protective person. They could be a more providing person because of time, age, experience, and whatever they choose to do for a living. But that's not what
Also,
everybody ends up with.
I feel like a lot of time when it comes to grooming, I feel like it happens in your face and people don't realize it. But also, grooming comes with conversation. And what I mean is this: most time when you are being groomed in the beginning, you it's there. You're just not paying attention to it because you're caught up in the words that are being said to you. Most time, grooming comes with a conversation. Grooming comes with what I'm not going to allow, what I don't allow. Baby girl, this is what I want you to do. This is what I like. This is what I don't like. If you can follow all these rules, grooming comes with rules.
Grooming comes with rules.
Grooming
But
comes
then,
with,
like I said,
if you can follow all these rules, if you can do this, you can get the world from me.
but you see
But
how
this is
as
how I like.
rules.
This is how I like my life. This is what I want. This is how I expect things to go. This is what I want. And grooming comes with that. Grooming comes with those things. And a
But you
lot of
see how, like
women,
you say, it comes with rules, but and rewards, right? So
yes,
it's like if you follow the rules, you get rewarded. So think about a child's mindset. If you
hmm
went to school, you learn that if I followed the rules, I receive rewards. That's what happens in these dynamics and relationships.
hmm
You follow the rules, and I'm going to reward you.
hmm like I said, my thing is, I feel like when it comes to soft life doesn't have no age. Like you said, when we say soft life is I don't care what age you are, make my life a little easier than what it is. If you can make what I'm going, and I'm not expecting you to, take it all off your shoulders. But if you can make life a little bit easier than what it is, whether it be financial, mentally, physically, emotionally, it doesn't matter. That's what I'm asking for. To make to make my walk and journey just a little easier, because that's my goal for you as well. My goal for you is to make your walk a little easier, to take the load off of you from time to time when stuff get a little hard. So do that for me. That's the soft life. And like I said, it's definitely a difference between soft life and a sponsorship. For sure. And you can tell certain people when you're on a sponsor, like I said, sponsorships come with rules and regulations.
And a
Because
sacrifice.
the moment you break a rule or a regulation, your sponsorship is over.
And some sacrifices, because I think when you're
Fact.
choosing to let somebody sponsor you, you're also saying that I'm willing to put some of my boundaries to the side to maintain
Yes.
whatever I have going on to support my livelihood or my life
Mhm.
or whatever
To make
comforts
you
that's been built
okay.
into this relationship, right? And so I think like in this modern day society, do you feel like young men and women are being taught to build or to just sit around and wait to be chosen? Because I think there's a lot of that where we hear like, men and women referring to themselves as pillow princesses or,
Hmm.
like, you know what I'm saying? Like they feel like in that dynamic, everybody wants to be the prize, right? Now we got it where both men and women are out here calling themselves the prize. So are you talking about building yourself up where your life and rewards and what you do and your own security in this world? Is that the gift, the prize that you give yourself? Or are you waiting somebody to bestow this prize onto you?
I'll say this. I think we are at a stage now where a lot of people are waiting. I'll say this. I think we can't I think we need to get back to that. I think we came our generation per se, I feel like we were in the building generation where we wanted to build something for ourselves and we were out here being strong women. You know what I'm saying? And we wanted to build something for ourselves. And we are, like I said, at that stage, like, hey, if somebody can make it a little easier, that's cool. Where now I've ran into a lot of women that kind of like wait for life to just unfold. Just like somebody's gonna come and sweep me up, Cinderella style, and my life is just gonna turn
It's
great.
It's funny that you said that. So I was at an R&B event recently, and they played Cheetah Girls, and it was like, I don't want to be like Cinderella, sitting in that cold dusty cellar,
I'm
waiting for
waiting for
somebody
somebody.
come to set me free. Right? Okay. So now what's interesting about that moment is that all of the women was like bellowing. Like I'm telling you, this was like a chorus inside of the party. I saw some of the men faces; they was looking a little uncomfortable while this song
Hmm.
was jumping off. But then it hit a certain pocket in the song about slaying your own dragons and doing certain things, and women stopped singing. And it wasn't because they didn't know the lyrics. It's like I noticed that women who are with certain men didn't want to profess that they were comfortable in their ability to provide for themselves and maintain themselves as if it was like a conscious effort to not offend. And I was like, we can't be so worried about offending ego when you're just trying to empower and encourage yourself to be the best version of you. But I
That's
noticed
right.
that like a lot of women were holding back because it's like, no, I do want somebody to take me out the cellar in the dust, and it don't gotta be me; it could definitely be him. And that's the energy it was given. And I guess I'm just like a very vigilant person, so I was peeping the energy when certain parts were being sung, and I would see girls who were singing to the top of their lung look over at their man and just bellow back down.
Like I said, because my thing is this, like I said, I know I can hold my own weight. But if for a moment I don't have to, then yes, my thing is yes, I can slay my own dragon. But if I have a man next to me that can slay it too, cool. But if the fact of the matter is, it's a want and not a need. I want you here. I like what you bring, just like you like what I bring, but I don't need you for it. You have a lot of people, like I said, waiting around because you need it. You need
But
somebody to
see,
slay your
but see,
dragon. You
that's
need
that's
somebody
the
to handle
thing
it for
that
you.
I learned. I think that's the thing I learned that's also shifting our society is that you have a lot of people vocalizing that they don't feel needed in their relationships. See, when you say that I want you here, opposed to I need you here, then people feel disposable. So they're like, oh well, if
But
you if you
my
only
thing is
want
this.
me, what happens when you don't want me anymore? Then I'm gone. So people
But
feel
my
like if
thing is
you
this.
need me though, I'm more somebody that you're going to keep around. And I think that's the
No,
the issue that people have. People don't want to be wanted; they want to be needed.
no, I don't want to be needed. Because when the need is not there anymore, you will not want, I won't be here. Oh, want is different. I want you. I yearn for you. I want you. I don't need you for anything. I want you here. The want is actually greater than the need. Because once you
right?
meet the need, you don't need that. That's it. Once I get there, I don't need you. You can go about your business.
It
I can go find a new nigga.
I think it depends on what the need is and what somebody is feeling in terms of necessity, right? Like we have basic needs, we get into this all of the time: food, water, shelter. Those
Hmm.
are like basic needs that people have. So if
But
somebody
but
is
that's the
being the
thing.
person that provides you with food and
Hmm.
shelter and clothing, those are things that people have a hard time saying, like, look, as
Exactly.
long as I need it, I'm gonna be with you
But
because I
guess
know
what
I need
happened?
it, and I don't know
But,
anybody else who's able to fill that need for me the way that
but
you
here's the
would.
thing. But here's the thing. Let's say, like you said, you got somebody who needs food, water, shelter, right? Hit the lottery tomorrow. Now, guess what? You done went and bought your house. You got food, abundance. You got shelter. You got water. You got everything you need. Guess what? The next thing they're gonna do? Find a nigga they want. Cause I
That's
don't need
facts.
you. I don't need you no more. That's why I said the want is actually greater than the need.
I think this is why I think in a protective manner for all women and all men, get with people who value you
Yes.
110% and not just what you can do for them. And we're
Not
real
what you
big on that
bring.
out here. I don't want anybody pulling up to me or sliding up to my table. And I always say this when they say who brought the table, built the table, I always say here, 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 all of that, right? I don't need anybody pulling up a chair to that table because they need to be at that table, right? They need to eat at my table.
Yeah.
They
You
can't put
want.
nothing on the table. They can't help fix the table. They just need to be at the table because, like you said, at the end of it, is the want or the desire to be with the
It,
person
that's what
genuine,
it is.
like genuine enough to sustain. Yeah, and I agree with you on that
Yeah.
aspect.
The one, yeah, that's what the one hits stronger. That's why I said I would rather anybody. I want somebody to want me than to need me. Because once the need doesn't exist, I won't exist. Because you're gonna find somebody else that fits your new need. You're gonna find somebody else that you may want. Because you didn't really want me, you needed me. You needed me in the moment to get you to the next level. You needed me in the moment because, like you said, you ain't have a table, you ain't have water, you ain't have this. And once you got that, you didn't need me. The need is gone, the need is met, and you gonna find somebody else you need or find somebody else you want. Give me the want. And I think that's the thing. People get so stuck on the need. But also sometimes because I feel like people get caught on wanting to be a need. Some people that is they thing mentally. But like what I want to be a help. I want to be this and what if this person don't need me? What does that make me?
Well, like the same way we say that some women are getting groomed in a certain aspect, do you feel like men are being groomed into provider roles? Because I'm gonna share something with you, right? Like I think how people raise men traditionally, I think it's great when people teach their sons or their boys how to be strong men, how to be safe,
Mhm.
secure, protective, and
Yes.
provide for the people in their lives. I think those are all very powerful qualities, but I think that you got to give them enough tools and resources to do that effectively. Like just because you are this type of person doesn't mean that you're supposed to yield it like a weapon over the people that
Mhm.
you interact with, right? So, great example. I was watching a TikTok video. It was this young kid. He was about 10, 11 years old. He was sitting with his father and he was rapping with him. And he was like, Yo, dad, I did something good today. And the father was like, What you do, son? And the kid was like, Well, there was a girl in my class. She had started her period and the other boys in the class were laughing. I took my jacket off and I gave it to her and I had her wrap it around herself. Then asked me and one of my other friends, I said, let's go take her to the nurse,
Okay.
right? And he was like, and the father was like, it's crazy. Like I didn't teach him that. Like that's not something that I told my son to do. This is like who my son is. And I was like, see, that was a young man exhibiting being protective. He didn't care about like it being his possession. That was like his favorite. He said, this is like my favorite hoodie, but I didn't like how other people were treating her
We're treating
or
her. Yeah.
disrespecting her for having something natural happen. And this was just like a 10, 11-year old kid that's like, I had enough know-how on how to do
Hmm.
this. So I feel like in the midst of when people are like teaching young men, don't just groom them to provide or to give money or to yield power over other people, but like raise them in a way that fosters respect, care, comfort, and protection and
But
allows
you
them not
know,
to get walked over and used either. Because I feel like that's
I
the
think
issue. A lot of people get used out here in the process. You don't want to be sponsoring nobody, nor do you want to be the sponsor of everybody
I
either.
I think that's always been a thing, and especially in, African American culture. I feel like that's always been a thing that I feel like somehow we got to form the break, right? Because it gets taught from one generation to another, where it's kind of like the money aspect. And I remember my father used to say this all the time, and that's why I said it gets taught down the line. Where he's like, women go as far as they looks, and men go as far as they money. He said, if a woman is ugly, that man ain't gonna want nothing to do with you. So you gotta keep your looks up all the time because ain't nothing he gonna want from you because your looks ain't right. And he said, and men, they go as far as they money because you ain't gonna want no broke ass nigga. You ain't gonna want, you know what I'm saying? You ain't gonna want no broke person. You ain't gonna want this broke person right here. You gonna want a man that got some money with him. And so the man is gonna go as far as his money.
But see, I think that in terms of like your father being of an older generation, our parents being of an older generation, it's like we've had to
Mm-hmm.
reframe that, right? Because then that's what people get. You get pretty people problems, right? You get broke man
Yeah.
problems. You get rich man problems. And I think that that just becomes a reality in that dynamic, right? It's where people start to feel like they're the powerful person in their relationship.
Yeah.
I went out with a guy and he had said some crazy joint about how he was dealing with a woman who was of a certain age, a little bit older than us, and how she never really had a job. But he was like, this is the baddest sister that he ever seen in his life.
Okay.
And she would be like, I need a money to get on the bus. I need money for a flight. I need money to eat. I need money to thing. And he was like, yeah, I was taking all my money and giving it to her because boy, was this sister bad. And I busted out laughing. And I started laughing because I was like, do you feel like any of the interaction that this woman was having with you was genuine, right? Because it sounds like she needed some comfort. She needed to take care of. You were so caught up in her physical that you was going out like a sucker. You're like, you was tricking on her, right? And I was like, and she was eating it up. But then you're angry because you felt like you weren't being validated, or better yet, you were spending money on somebody who was also going to then go fly out and find somebody attractive wherever you paid for the ticket
Mm-hmm.
for. So now you didn't bought the bus ticket, you didn't paid for the flight and the hotel, and she in the hotel and on the plane with somebody else,
Else.
providing her with all the things that she want and not need, but the things that she want. And I was like, and this is why we got to teach people that like beauty is only skin deep. So I think that you should have an
It is.
attraction towards the person that you're with, but
But
you also have to start making sure that people are well rounded. Like you got to look good, smell good, work hard,
Mhm.
have a
But
good
also to what you
mindset.
said,
Like look for all of it.
I don't know for real. But also to what you said, it kind of gets to that point where like we have to teach beyond the financial, and that's what I'm saying. Sometimes men are brought up and taught so deep into the financial that, like you said, it's the bare minimum that we tend to miss. Sometimes, like you said, the little boy wrapping a jacket around the girl waist. Simple stuff like a man not putting you on the inside of the walkway. Simple things can happen where like
Yeah.
we don't have to focus on the financial all the time.
Because money doesn't buy character. Like
Yeah,
that's the whole thing. So at
but
the end of the day, you can have all the money you want in the world. You could do all of these fantastic things for me at any age. You know what I'm saying? But if you're an asshole and you're mistreating me because you don't have a good sense of moral character, you're not a good person. What's the point? And some people sacrifice being with good people to being with people who could financially provide for them. And that's the
mhm,
lesson I feel like teaching young men and young women. Also, look at the content of somebody's character. Look for good people because that's going to outweigh everything. That person with money is going to value you as long as you have something that they want too. You have to be desirable. But if something happens and you lose a leg, you lose a foot, or something like that, or life gets really bad and you're no longer that person that they desire, they gonna take that money and put it on the next player. You know what I'm
that's right.
saying? And they gonna
So,
cash out all of their chips.
do you think that's a sacrifice that goes into softness for yourself?
Oh, 110%. Because I said a company with my softness became my nose. No and soft
Mm.
also became hand in hand. Like a
No,
part
no,
of
no, hell no.
like I think that I had to teach myself and even those around me that I'm a lot quieter than I was. And I feel like as long as you're passionate and you're loud or vocal about things that you feel, people feel like you still got to fight for them, right? You know what I'm saying? You're
Hmm.
so in the mix or so invested, but when you're quiet, people feel like you're slowly walking away or you're not as
Yeah,
interested. And I think there's some truth in that because I was like, my calm and my silence is just an indicator that I want more for myself. And
Mm.
because I'm aspiring and desiring to have more for myself, that keeping myself centered and calm and safe, like having my own personal safety and security, is way more valuable than investing in somebody trying to give it to me. You know what I'm saying? Like,
You ain't
I'm
lying.
building it for me, so I don't need anybody to give it to me. I appreciate, like you said, if you add to my peace and add to what makes life softer or easier, but I no longer desire to wait for somebody to give me
To do
that.
it
Like,
for
I'm
me.
so confident, and I think I've always been very confident, and you yourself as well. We always been very confident women around building our own safety and security. But
Mm.
I think as you get older, that safety component becomes a higher, it just like outweighs everything. My mental safety, my physical safety, my spiritual
It does.
safety. It
Th-
means so much to me.
Yeah, it does. As you get older, the safety around you. Because I'm gonna tell you something. When you younger, you put yourself in some dangerous shit. Okay, dangerous activities will happen, and I'm warning the younger people. Cause I look back at my life and be like, I know my ass, and I have been there. Dangerous things will happen when you were younger, and now you will get to a point where your safety in all aspects, like you said, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, safety across the board is the most important thing that you can have. If I feel unsafe, if I gotta turn my head at you, if my eyes start twitching, if my spirit something, I tell people, pay attention to that voice that you hear, that voice that tell you don't get in the
Hmm.
car, that voice that tell you, anything that be like, listen to that, every time. Because something in you is saying it's not sitting right, the safety in it isn't right. Something is not supposed to happen here. And if I
That's facts.
walk
Every
out
day.
that door, if I go that way if I go that way I think I'm supposed to go, something is going to happen that's not supposed to happen. So in all
I
aspects, I do not play about my safety no more. I don't play about my
No.
safety in any aspect of the game, spiritually, mentally, or emotionally, or physically. I do not play about my safety. I'm about me all the time, about my safety, my spiritual warfare. I'm not doing that.
I think because every day you see something in the news where women are being unalived by
For sure.
going to some man's house, some man trying to get into their house and don't want to leave, or
Something
getting into an
simple though.
argument with a spouse, right? And the same thing with guys. I mean, like, I think about all the situations where it's like that him and that girlfriend going back and forth, and then she snap on him and hurt him or stab him or something like that. And I was like, because
It's
people
simple.
didn't honor their own peace and safety and protection. Like, chaos
You
is not
have
love. We got to stop
you
equating like
you
love
had
and
women
romanticism to drama and chaos.
you had women getting shot because you politely let somebody down. You politely said no. No, thank you, sir. I don't want that. It happens. So that's why I said safety in all aspects. That's why and that's why soft life is so deep, because it's just one of those things where I feel like people hear it and just automatically connect it to the financial, to the grooming aspect. Like, I need somebody to rescue me. That's not what I mean by soft life. That's why I think that's what people
No.
don't understand sometimes with soft life in general. That's not what we mean. Now, some don't get me wrong. I think some people are messing up the idea of what we're saying. Some people are presenting it the wrong way.
Yeah, and like you said, that may not be what we mean, right? And it may not be what the vast majority of people are
Hmm.
trying to say. But are there some people who do believe that soft light means like pay my bills, pay my rent, take care of me,
Yeah.
and I'm willing to sacrifice like everything, for that? Like, I listened to an interview with Young Miami, and she was talking about how she wrote a letter on behalf of Diddy, basically like saying the man that y'all are referring to, who was with the woman who, or women who have accused him of ABCD. She was like, in my time knowing him, I feel like he was a different person. So people were coming at her trying to say, like, was he a different person? Or at that time in your life, your wants or needs were different. Like, they were way differently. Like, you needed a few things. And this man was able to be around there and take care of them. And she was honest in some ways. She was just like, well, I feel like they were working on being a better person, right? But did
Hmm.
they take care of my needs? Hell yeah. They opened doors for me. They got me into spaces that I couldn't get myself
So you
into.
want to
So
talk good
whether
about
they were
somebody?
a great person, yeah. So like, I think from her perspective, and that's like, I didn't agree with anything that she was saying, but I'll say it like this. I understood that she's like where I was at in my life, especially probably breaking apart from a group, trying to
Mm-hmm.
figure out what she's doing with her career. This person handed me a platform. Now, did they come with some chaos? They came with some chaos, but I was willing to say that my needs outweigh
The
the
chaos.
chaos that exists, and we have to be better about that. Like we can't sacrifice our own personal, I said, safety and well being because we're checking certain things off our list. Like I said, I would love for somebody to pull up with a brand new Hummer and a full tank of gas and say, "Here, the keys, it's yours." At the same time, if I learned what I had to do for that Hummer and
For
those
that
keys
Hummer
and
and
that
that
gas,
tank gas.
was demoralizing, then no, I'm not willing. I'm not willing to sacrifice my values just to have it. You know.
Thanks. So, friend, I think we gave him a little something this time. I feel like we was into this one. But I think it's savage question time.
Ooh, boop. Okay.
All right. So I had somebody DM me, Tierra DM me, and said, "Do women actually build a soft life, or are they being conditioned to wait for one?"
I think we said like depending on the generation that you're in, right? So like I
Mm-hmm.
said, we were raised by baby boomers. And so baby boomers
Yes.
tend to be people that they either had strong foundational relationships, grandmothers, grandfathers, moms and dads. And if they didn't have those strong foundational relationships, there was always a messaging that was like either get somebody who could do for you or try to seek those certain qualities in people, right? But it was some level of encouragement around getting it for yourself. But now, as we are the generation that is starting to have the children and has all of the kids and stuff like that, and then you have the generation after us, Alpha, having children, the messaging has changed. And it's like, yo, either be empowered, get it all yourself, take care
Mm.
of it, and have all of the money. Or it's like, baby, if you don't got the wits about you, you better find somebody to trick on you, them kids like crazy. So I do feel like it depends on the network of people that you have around you who ends up pouring into that level of conditioning. Like people are also not only groomed by partners, they could be groomed by relatives
You're right.
in more than one way. You know what I'm saying? So if
Mm-hmm.
you got men in the barbershop, I always say like sometimes you got dusty street profits. If you got a dusty street prophet in your ear and they telling you like, man, these women ain't ish. If you got the bag, they'll do whatever you want to do. That's the wrong messaging to feed into the next generation. If it's a young woman and she going to the beauty salon and all the women in the salon are like, girl, you know, you
Mm-hmm.
gotta do something strange for a piece of change just so you can get on the
Stop
come
playing.
up, then that's not the right messaging. But if you're speaking about being a respectable young woman and young man, and you got people who are pouring into you, empowering you, and encouraging you to be your best, then that's the form of conditioning that's going to yield a different type of result because you're going to say, despite who comes into your life, you are amazing and you can do amazing things and fill your own cup.
I definitely agree. I think it's a mix, like you said. We had the baby boomer aspect as far as our parents. I feel like it's a mix though. I feel like we talked about, you have some people that wait for one. And I have realized, I'm not gonna lie, and maybe it's the older of our parents. I feel like the older my mother gets, I feel like the conditioning of, oh, you need somebody to, you know what I'm saying, like, to do this and take care of you. I'm like, I really don't though. Like, I can handle myself. I mean, it'd be nice for somebody to give a little help, but I don't need to wait for my Prince Charming to come and sweep me off my feet. And I feel like the difference is the mindset. We don't wait for it, but I know so many women, especially younger women, that are sitting there doing their makeup right now, waiting for a phone call because they are waiting for somebody to come and save them, and they're going to do everything they need to do
Well,
for
I'm
somebody
gonna
to
tell you,
save
like,
them and do what they need to do. And it's crazy because I watched it happen. I watched so many women who sit up here and put themselves in crazy situations because they're waiting for somebody to save them from their situation because their
let me
situation
tell you
is
something right
terrible.
now. We also learn this, us being both Christian women and being faith based, right? That there's a lot of people like, oh, I'm gonna pray and wait for somebody to send me this man that's gonna do all of this
Then you
and
Boaz.
change
You
all of
wait for
that for me.
Boaz.
You know what I'm saying? You're waiting for Boaz. And the reality of that situation is, it's not to say that you cannot sit up there and pray your heart's desires to get what you want out of the world, but it's okay to continue to be that peace for yourself.
Let me tell you
You
something.
know what I'm saying? Until
Let me
whatever
tell you.
comes along. But don't wait
It's
in
a,
vain. I think a lot of people are just sitting around waiting like it's just going to snap and click their fingers and somebody's going to come and do. And like I said, somebody may come into your life. Be careful what you pray for.
you
Somebody
ain't
may
lying.
come into your life because you've been over there sitting there waiting for somebody. And then you feel like anybody who show up is the
Let me tell you.
person.
First of
And
all,
everybody who show up ain't the person. Some people are called, some people are sent. That's what my mama always say.
let me tell you something right now. You almost sent the whole through me because let me tell you. I tell people all the time, be detailed about your prayers. Be detailed. Be very detailed because the same
Mm-hmm.
thing I tell people all the time, the same thing God hears, so does the devil. Be detailed with your prayers because you will sit up here and say, hey, I want to be married. But you didn't say who and what you want to be married to. You didn't
What
go
type
into
of marriage
detail
you
about
want?
what kind of
Mm-hmm.
marriage you wanted. Be detailed with your prayers. Also, I tell people this when it comes to the whole everybody looking for Boaz thing, I feel like this. It's a difference between looking for Boaz and looking for somebody to change your life financially and everything else. That's a difference. Some people,
Mm-hmm.
if you looking for a certain Boaz, you looking for a certain thing, and that's so I said be detailed with your prayers. Be detailed about the Boaz you looking for. Be detailed about that. Because at that time, depending on the woman you are, look, I got it all figured out. But guess what? I want Boaz. I want the man that's a protector, a man that is spiritually aligned with me. I want a man that sits up here and loves me, wants me, yearns for me. I want a man that sits up here and smiles, doesn't hurt me, doesn't be detailed about the prayers that you want. Get a
I
Sierra
think
prayer if
that
you
people
got
should
to.
also,
Be detailed
when
in
we
your
talked
prayers.
about when we talked about the young girls and the older women and everybody that falls in between, whether you a Z, a alpha, a millennial, a boomer,
Yes,
a
ma'am.
Xer, whatever the case is, you should want people who grow with you. And I think there's
But
something so beautiful about we're all hitting different milestones at different points and phases of our lives, but something
mhm.
about growing with the people in your life, in your world, just makes the journey a lot much smoother and a lot better because you have a better understanding. And I think that's why, for me, I think that those huge gaps between like age groups is like as long as we're both still trying to grow in who we are and we're not changing, we're not learning, and we're just going to control the dynamic, you have a better situation when both parties are willing to keep growing together.
That's a fact. All the time. It's this is so much deeper than what we have time for.
That's a whole fact. So, but I think that we sprinkled, we dropped gems, jewels, and mics on all the good folks out here. So I hope the
Yeah.
royals and the real ones really vibe with tonight's episode because look,
Yes, R and
we ain't
R.
come to play with y'all. You know what I'm saying? We kept y'all well, we kept y'all woke, we kept y'all savage in these streets. And so, as always, Lady A, tell them where they can find us to keep up with this good vibration.
So y'all already know. Follow us on Miss Wellenbook, Lady A Savage on YouTube. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Always, we want to hear what y'all have to say. For reels, highlights, follow us on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. Lady A Savage, Miss Wellenbook. Interact with us. Let us know. DM us any savage questions. You can reach out to me. Let us know. You can reach out to my girl, Miss Wellenbook. We want to hear from y'all. We want to know what y'all want to hear. We here for y'all. We want to conversate everything else. And as always, my girl say, we love y'all for free.
And you know this, we out.